joining us tonight to discuss how conservatives can derail the legislation. Leading conservative, president of the Heritage Foundation, former U.S. Senator Jim DeMint. Jim, great to have you on the show. This has been a remarkable period since Ryan Care was revealed. Is it your judgment that, as Speaker Ryan himself says, that he has the votes in the House and likely the Senate?
I don't think so, Lou, and I know the White House is working feverishly to listen to ideas that could improve the bill. And so my hope is, obviously, that this bill will at least take a pause, accept some amendments, because, as you mentioned, this bill does not do the things we need to do to push down the cost of health insurance and health care or create more choices for the people of this country. And it keeps one of the big problems of Obamacare, which is the Medicaid expansion, which means it has large incentives in here to expand Medicaid to able-bodied Americans. And that's at the expense of older, disabled, sicker people right now. So a lot of this doesn't make sense. I'm still optimistic the White House is listening to some of our ideas that would create the competition and lower the prices over the next couple of years.
Which is what the president himself has said he wants to be the outcome in any revision, repeal, and replacement of Obamacare. Let me ask you this, though. This bill is revealed to the public, to the Senate, to the White House. Speaker Ryan himself has basically said no amendments, take it or leave it. The two committees that heard the legislation, that is Energy and Commerce and Ways and Means, no amendments in either committee and apparently no time or inclination to accept amendments. Yeah. Can this proceed in that fashion?
Well, that's not the way it will proceed. What they're doing is going through kind of a perfunctory committee vote and markup, as they call it, but then at the end they'll have what's called a manager's amendment. The Republican member who's managing the bill on the floor will offer an amendment that they believe will have the votes to pass. Our hope at that point is they've included some of the amendments that the conservatives have been talking about, that the White House has been listening to. Our hope is that final manager's bill will actually be a big improvement and pass. So we just want to be able to say it's a move in the right direction. We don't expect this first phase to be perfect, Lou, but a lot of the things that have been promised, like interstate competition, association health plans, those don't happen into what they call phase 3. And I know from being in Washington almost 20 years now that if you bet on the come, you usually lose that bet.
Yeah, and as this legislation goes ahead, it is important that there be some construction, some sort of design here that the president can sign. The president has made it very clear, at least it seems to me, very clear, he's not going to sign a bill that doesn't do what he has promised to the American people, namely reduce premiums, extend health care coverage itself. These are tough standards. Your reaction?
I think he wants to keep his promises, and I believe that, again, as I mentioned, Lou, that the bill that has been presented cannot pass the House, and if it did, it would not pass the Senate. I believe all the Republican leaders know that at this point. So I think they're going to ultimately be anxious to find those ideas that will improve the bill and help it to pass. That's what we're hoping for, obviously, here, as we have presented a number of ideas at the Heritage Foundation, which we think can push down costs and give consumers a lot more choices.
And tomorrow, a test, the budget. That vote begins tomorrow, will be taken tomorrow. Your sense about its prospects?
Well, I think the conservatives will stick together. Whether or not they can get the 4 votes that are needed, I'm not sure. I haven't done that vote counting. But as we know, and I know from serving in the House, if they don't need your vote, they don't want your opinion. And unless the conservatives hold together, their opinion isn't going to count. So if if they can pass this bill without conservative votes, they will. My hope is that they won't be able to pass it. They'll listen to our ideas, and we can help make the bill better.
Very quickly, at 7:30, we understand the Freedom Caucus is meeting. We are expecting to hear from both Senator Rand Paul and Congressman Mark Meadows, perhaps Congressman Jim Jordan. Your thoughts about what is at play here on the part of those conservatives?
Well, if you want to know who the patriots are in Congress, it's the House Freedom Caucus and Mike Lee's little group over in the Senate that includes Rand Paul. But these folks are smart, they're tough. They want to get to yes, too, Lou. They want the president to succeed. They want the Republicans to succeed. But they don't want to betray the promises we've been making America for over 6 years. And if this bill goes through and we cannot say that it's an honest-to-goodness repeal, then I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed.